Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Brains Talk. Learn from thought leaders from different parts of the world, from CEOs, business owners, managers, and experts who are in the spotlight to tell their brain stories and share their firsthand insights. It's a show to help you develop and grow your brand in a more authentic and sustainable way, locally and globally. Whether it's your personal brand or company brand, your branded product, service, or cause. My name is Brigitte. I'm the owner of BridgetBrands, a branding strategy boutique offering online courses, workshops, and one-on-one exclusive coaching. I help my clients craft meaningful branding strategies so they can unleash their full potential to effectively elevate their personal and organizational brands and shine authentically. Let's get started and dive with me into the world of brands. My guest today is Karen Falkenberg. She is a master health coach. Karen combines an incredible breadth and depth of experience. She draws on all of it to skillfully work with clients, an engineering sense of systems, a researcher's creativity and problem solving, an educator's ability to learn and translate information so others can use it, decades of leadership coaching and mentoring for hundreds of people, the highly developed skill of listening to others, an insatiable curiosity with an inquiring mind, and a variety of content expertise in psychology, neuroscience, science, mindset work, leadership, nutrition, metabolism, and exercise science. Karen is one of two sensei at Tiger's Eye Life. With Tiger's Eye Life, Karen and her partner support busy professionals with successful strategies in fitness, nutrition, metabolism, and stress management. I welcome Karen Falkenberg. Welcome to Brains Talk.
Thank you so much, Bridget, for having me on your podcast today. I'm really excited to be here and talk about personal branding and wellness and how those go together.
Yeah, what an interesting and exciting topic. And I'm really happy you are here today, Karen. And I love what you are doing because I'm very much about living a healthy life as well. I have a very strong focus on fitness and nutrition. And I'm totally curious what you are going to tell us today. So let's jump right into it. Could you tell us a little bit about your background, about your journey that brought you right here where you are right now? So, what's your story?
That's a great question. So I started as a child. I was a child of the 60s and 70s. I actually will be 65 this September. And as a youngster, I lived back in the time when there was the opportunity to be sort of a free range kid. And so in the summers, we would play baseball in the pickup empty lots and ride our bicycles and swim. But I was not really an athlete at all by any stretch in any way. And in my 20s, I took up running so that I could lose weight after having children. That had its upsides, and running to lose weight has its kind of a dark side to it. So I did that. I had a chance to, in my 40s, go ahead and get a black belt in martial arts. I have ridden my bike 600 miles down the coast of Florida. So I've done a lot of things. Now I actually am a weightlifter, and I have a Peloton, which I love. And I am an occasional runner, so it's a little bit different. And as you said, I have quite a varied background, and particularly being really, really curious. I ended up at a certain point in my life saying, I feel really successful in lots of ways, but I just don't think that my wellness is where I want and need it to be. So I had to undertake my own journey to get myself to the point of where I really understood how my body worked, what nutrition I needed to have, how I needed to move my body, and what would optimize me to be the best person I could be. So it's been really an interesting journey for me.
Good. Yeah, it's good to have a varied background, to have done this and that in order to figure out what I really want to do in my life. And you really have a very colorful journey. And in 2019, you and your partner, you founded Tiger's Eye Life. So what was your intention to, first of all, start your own business? Why did you do that? And also tell us how easy or difficult this journey was to start your own business.
Oh, that's such a good question. And so, what I'll say is, in 2019, that's when Brian and I met each other. And we realized instantly that we were just made to work together to be really good friends. And we recognized that both of us had an interest in wellness. I actually was, and I'll just take a side moment to say, I met him because I was recovering from a really bad concussion that took 6 months, and I had to retrain myself to walk again. And so I ended up at his gym, and he and I got connected that way, and he helped me rehab myself. And I learned about weightlifting and how important it was, particularly for women, but it's true for women and men, to have enough strength on their body. And so what we realized is we're both insatiably curious people. And we talked continually about health and wellness. And we are the kind of people, the A students that say, I have to learn, I have to know more. And we recognize that there's really a gap in the opportunities for people to go out, take a look at what should I eat? How should I work out? How should I support my stress reduction? There's so much out there, and it's difficult to really separate fact from fiction. There's so much on social media, and there's a lot that is just not true. And so what we recognized is, because we love to look at the literature, we love to follow experts, we love to work on ourselves, that we could have the opportunity to be able to do that for other people. So we offer a trusted source for wellness. We offer a comprehensive source for wellness, and it's really convenient. So that's how we began our business journey together. So it's been really great. We have had clients individually and clients collectively, and we've been coaches for a really long time. It's just now that we're trying to bring this into the wellness space.
I mean, the wellness space is really huge. There's a lot of competition out there. There's a lot of mindset wellness coaches. So, what is the singular thing that you can provide that no one else is providing? How do you stick out? How do you differentiate yourself from all the others in your industry? What makes you special?
Oh, that's a great question. So I'll say that what really makes us different is that we are holistic and we are comprehensive. So we can help people choose, should I work on HIIT? Should I do swimming? Should I do weightlifting? Should I be a runner? How can I maximize my athletic potential, or even just my health gains in terms of moving my body? We can help people with their nutrition plans. We can help people with their mindset. And part of that is because all of these really are connected together. But one of the other pieces that very much makes us unique is we talk about this from a systems perspective. So Ryan has experience working in his family business, where he has been working as a precision machinist. And as you said about me, having a research engineering background, we really think of this from a systems perspective. And if you consider that, the point is, we all have systems in our body. We have a cardiovascular system. We have a digestive system. Our body is set up as a set of systems. And that is one of the really distinguishing components of who we are and how we provide services to our clients. And so let me take a minute and give you an example. So this example has to do with a system that most of us are really very familiar with, and that is the system of a car. So we know what a car does for us and how it supports our lives. But let me say to you, Bridget, if you had your car, right, and you were going to get in the car and run an errand, go somewhere, but when you went into the garage or you went out to the street, wherever your car was parked, and to be able to use it, you had to jack it up, put the tires on, you had to connect the spark plug wires together, you had to put a gallon of gas in the gas tank, And then you were almost ready to get in the car and drive, the probability that you would actually use your car regularly as a transportation system is, I would say, zero. You would call Uber, you would have a friend run an errand for you, you would have Amazon deliver your packages. You just wouldn't use your car because that system was not set up for you to be able to use it right away. And so that's what we do with our clients is we help them develop systems so that as busy professionals, they don't have to struggle with, well, what should I eat and when should I eat it and how can I get that made in time so that I can feed myself when I'm really, really hungry? Or how can I deal with the needs that I have of moving my body when it feels really complicated to fit that in because I've got all these work responsibilities. So we help people develop their own systems, and we don't have them develop systems that work for us. We help and guide them to systems that work for them so that they know that it's going to function just as they want and need it to be able to be their healthiest self.
Yeah, as you say, sometimes it's really hard for entrepreneurs because fitness and nutrition are often elusive for them, yeah, because of a total commitment of all their time and the resources and the
Right?
responsibilities to building their businesses. And then also, this is true for these busy professionals, the corporates working 24/7 for a company they don't even own. It's not even their own. So there's a lot of pressure on people's
Mhm.
schedules, and also the mental bandwidth is very intense here. So um, to, to make free room to um, yeah to do you have any, let's say, advice for them that helps them to prioritize mental and health and fitness and healthy eating? So is there anything that they can do to fit that into their schedule? Because
I
it's fuel of life. It's when we are f- fit in terms of body fit and in terms of um, having the opportunity to um, um, yeah, basically
mhm.
with with nutrition and with fitness to be our best version. So is there anything that we can do or anything that you can suggest us how we fit that into our schedule?
That's a great question. And I think that there are numerous answers to that. One that I would say is just as though saving money pays off in big ways later on, fitness can pay off in big ways, even in the short term. So if you think about that, we can work late and we are just working on a task and we're not as our most effective, we're not our most efficient because we're just past the point of where the returns are really good.
Mhm.
So having the opportunity to carve out some time in a schedule to say that even though it may take me 45 minutes to do a workout in the morning, or maybe it may take me on the weekend 2 hours to meal prep for all week, that I, in fact, am going to get many benefits back over time because I'll be more effective, I'll be more efficient, I'll be able to make decisions more quickly, I'll feel more alert, I'll feel more energy at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm not slogging, I'm having enough energy in my body to be able to contribute in a really successful way. I will say that sometimes we are so well, often we're so overcommitted. And so there can be the need to say, what can I scale back a little bit? Where can I buy a little time here, there, and somewhere so that I can together find a spot in my day where I can really devote to my wellness? Because as we know, if we're not well, we're not a great contributor at work or we're not the best business owner.
Mm. Yeah, we have to remind ourselves that if we somehow fit it into, there's always, if I want it, I really want it, then I can fit it in. And we really need to focus on the benefit that it gives us. So if I want to do my 1 hour walk in the morning, or my 1 hour run in the morning,
Mhm.
or my 1 hour, whatever exercise it is, it's benefiting me because I will be so much more productive in whatever I will be doing the
Right.
rest of the day. It's
Right.
nourishing us. Um,
Right, right. I think that's a really excellent point. It's not an either or, either I work or either I take care of myself, that they really do complement each other. And one of the things that we also do in our business is we have busy professionals identify what are their strengths. And so we start from a position of everybody who works with us, everybody has strengths. And so, how can we have people identify the strengths that they bring from their business experience into their work with us? So, let's say you're a numbers person, you're really, really skilled at data. Then collecting data on your wellness is going to be very easy for you. That may be a strength that you can bring into the work itself. Or maybe you're one of these folks who is tasked at work with being really organized. And so you can think about, okay, how can I structure this skill of organization to the wellness that I want to bring into my life? So I
Mhm.
think that starting with strengths is really, really important. And part of this, I think, also comes from the fact that we often see the work with wellness as kind of punitive. Like, oh, I'm not well. I need to change my diet. I need to start working out. And in fact, we often have heard people for years. There's this, conversation in our society about I ate a piece of pizza, so I need to spend an hour on the treadmill. So it's kind of I had a dietary infraction, so that means I now have to punish myself by being on the treadmill.
Yeah. So
And in fact,
Mhm.
yeah,
So
if
they
we think
must
about
do things, right? So I must
the
do because I have to balance that out. And it's
right,
like if I have this pizza or if I have this ice cream or if I have this fast
right.
food, whatever, I need to make up for it. I need to, yeah, go on a treadmill for the next couple of hours. Right?
Right, right. And so to take the conversation about wellness into one that's much more positive, right? I don't have to do these things, that I get to do these things. There are so many people who don't get to be well, who need to be well but can't get to be well. The opportunity that affords us to be well is something that we should really celebrate. And when we think about the fact that when we eat in a way that sustains and supports wellness in our bodies, when we move our bodies in ways that honors what our DNA is set up for. We're set up to be strong, muscular, agile people with mobility. If we can honor that and say, yes, this is a great opportunity for me to optimize who I am as an individual, and that will carry over to all the parts of my life, then it feels a lot different to be able to say, I'm going to work on my wellness. I get to work on my wellness. This is the opportunity for me rather than it's a drudge responsibility.
So, how do you get people to have this mindset to say, instead of I must go on the treadmill, I get to get on the treadmill, or I must eat salad, I get to eat salad? How do you get people to this I get to, so that they are really motivated and inspired and love it? So, how do you get them there?
That's such a good question. The way we do that is really with the ideas of psychology, right, and sense of self. And we know that habits are and skills really connect into identity. So when one says, I'm on a journey to be a healthy person or a healthier person, we say, think about your future self and think about yourself as this healthier person. And what are the skills, the dispositions, the attributes, the strategies that a healthy person does to become and to stay healthy. And so in that case, you can say to yourself, what would a healthy person do given this choice? I walk into the break room and I see that somebody's left cupcakes from a celebratory lunch. And I hadn't intended on my nutrition plan to eat cupcakes at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And I see that it stimulates my appetite. And I'm not really hungry, but now all of a sudden, oh, I think maybe I'd like this cupcake. And so one can ask themselves in that moment, is this a time when I want to eat a cupcake? When I need to eat a cupcake? And what would my future self say about this particular cupcake experience? Would I do that? Would I feel like I want to do it? And sometimes the answer may be yes. And probably a lot of times it would be, that's just not what I need at the moment, because my future self, my identity as a healthy person suggests that's probably not what I would want to do
Hmm.
at this moment. Yeah,
So,
the
how do you get
identity.
So how do you get someone, instead of eating a cupcake to replace that and substitute it with something that is healthier?
Good question. So we work on habits and skills, and a lot of times when people take on a different nutrition plan, they follow someone else's plan and they follow it without necessarily having the habits or really the skills or the mindset for making appropriate nutritional decisions. So we help people by having them practice these skills in settings where they say, okay, I'm going to practice this at lunch today. I'm going to practice this at dinner tonight. On Friday night, I may choose to have a couple of drinks with my friends. If that's what you want to do, then that doesn't mean you've blown the weekend. What would a healthy person do? And how do you practice and become really skilled at the ability to make the appropriate decisions for what your goals are? Because this is really about goal driven, right? And so some people want to make big changes really quickly, and some people want to take it much more slowly. And if you can choose strategies that align with the goals that you have, then that's really how you're going to build that skill set that you can rely on, and it becomes habitual. So I know all of us, anybody listening to this podcast, brushes their teeth at least once a day, if not more. And we don't have to convince ourselves that that's important. We know that to have a healthy mouth, that is what we do. So what we work on with our clients is helping them develop these skills that then become habits, that become just part of their identity. And it's a non-negotiable. No one would ever say, all right, Bridget, you have to brush your teeth. And you'd say, oh, do I have to brush my teeth? You'd say, I know, I got to brush my teeth. That's part of what a healthy person does.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. So you talked about identity and best version, and I would like to learn a little bit more from your perspective because you're an expert and a thought leader and really an authority in the field of wellness. And you have this scientific approach, which I really, really like, and that makes you unique in your sphere in that industry, and that also makes you to really stand out from the crowd. And that makes you a strong personal brand as well, because identity and personal branding is basically one thing. It's your identity that you are sending out in a certain way, and that shows you, and you are making a difference in the world with what you are doing, right?
Mm-hmm.
How does that go together? How can we use wellness, and how can that influence to be in our best version, to shine as this best version, as a strong personal brand? So how can we kind of even strengthen our personal brand with wellness?
Oh, what a great question. I think, particularly as a personal brand, that as a small business owner, who I am, how I show up regularly, what my values are inherently deeply connected to my personal brand. And for me, thinking about the fact that I know that there's an incredible international health crisis in so many ways, in mental health and
Yeah.
physical health, and the way we consume media, the way we do and don't soothe ourselves with behaviors that we have. We have such a health crisis, and so I like to take it upon myself to say, for my personal brand, for our personal brand, Ryan and I, it's how we show up personally and how that is reflected in the brand that we own. And so when I think about people and their ideas about, well, how can wellness really help me in my own personal brand, is to say, how does the way in which you show up really exemplify what your ideals are? And part of personal brand really is the energy that you bring to the work, the mindset that you bring to the work,
Yeah.
the enthusiasm that you bring to the work, the opportunity to say to people, of all of the brands that are within my sphere of work, how do I stand out and how can I contribute successfully to their business bottom line, but also to their individual personal supports, right? We work with so many people, and if we have two people that are equivalent and they have their own small brand, the one that's more enthusiastic, the one that has more energy, the one that has more joy in their life, probably there's a better chance that that person's brand is going to be chosen as the group that the client wants to work with over somebody else who just doesn't have that sort of wellness cachet around them, around their brand.
Mhm. So I suppose there's a lot of accountability that ties into that and supports that. Can you elaborate on how important accountability to myself, but also to others is?
I can. I love the topic of accountability, and I am in an accountability group. I know you are in an accountability group. And one of the things that we've talked about is there's this old saying that says, show me your friends and I'll show you your future. And so as social creatures, and coming from the psychology perspective, having taught psychology at university, I will say that we are all wired as social creatures. And so we need to be connected with others. And sometimes life is really very difficult. So you need somebody to lean on, and you need to be able to also provide support. We know some of the best medicine for our heart is to be able to support other people in their journey. So accountability shouldn't, just as we were saying earlier about wellness and not seeming like it's punitive. Accountability is not really a punitive thing. It's not like the sheriff checking up on you somewhere. It's really the opportunity to be in community with others who are like-minded, and it can help everybody in that community, everybody that's an accountability partner, to increase their interest, their motivation, the strategies that they get from somebody else. Lots of ways it just pushes us all forward to be our best self. So accountability to me is really, really key. And I love to talk about it from the perspective of, it's not a punitive, I'm trying to check up on you. I'm here to support you, and you're here to support me. And I think accountability and wellness is so key, because and what I tell clients is, if all it took was to know what to do, we would all be perfect at everything, because there's any and everything you can learn on Google, on YouTube, wherever, on social media. Now, not all of it is correct, but the correct material is out there. So it's not just about the knowing, it's about the opportunity to enact that knowing, and to do that within a community of support. And that's really where accountability comes in.
Mm. So you also work with your client when it comes to self-efficacy. Yeah, it also helps them
Mhm.
um, get important health gains. Um, can you elaborate on that as well? Because I think there is a differentiation between self-efficacy and self-esteem. And that's an
Mhm.
important differentiation that we also need to look at, right?
I am so glad you asked me that question. And I really want to talk about this, because it goes back to, well, let me describe what self-esteem and how
Mm.
self-efficacy is different. And then let me talk about what it is that I have seen in the wellness space for a really long time. So self-esteem would be, so Bridget, for you, like, how do you feel about yourself as a person, right? And you say, I feel really good about myself, or I feel okay about myself, but it's you as the collective. Self-efficacy is different in that it's really what we call domain specific. And so I'll use an example about myself. I feel really self efficacious. I have a lot of self-efficacy around my ability to be well. I have a lot of self-efficacy around my ability to speak to people. I don't have a lot of self-efficacy around my ability to jump out of an airplane. I have not done that. I would be afraid to do that. I would probably try it, but I don't feel like I have a lot of skill around that. So it's really domain specific. It's not self-esteem where I feel about how I feel about myself collectively. One of the things that I have learned in the wellness field is, and this is true of me personally, as in years past, I would try a nutrition plan, and I might say, okay, I'm going to fill in the blank. I'm going to eat differently this way. I'm going to follow, whether it's intermittent fasting or keto or the Mediterranean diet or whatever. I pick some eating style, and I'm going to follow that, and I'm going to lose 10 pounds. And that's going to be all I need to do. And then I get off of that diet. And all of a sudden, I'm not following that any longer. And maybe I gained 2, 3, 4 pounds. And I think, oh, I'm such a failure.
Mm-hmm.
What is wrong with me? Why can I not sustain
Mm-hmm.
this change in my wellness? And so we begin to believe that we're not skilled at this. And that's part of self-efficacy. Self-efficacy is related to 4 characteristics. One is mastery. So if I can be successful, then I can feel I have more self-efficacy in that, whatever I'm working on. A
Mm-hmm.
second part of that is if I see other people who are like me, who can be successful, I think, oh, if they could do that, I could do that. A third is verbal persuasion. So when you're working with a coach, or you're working with people in your accountability group, and they say, I know you can do this, and
Mm-hmm.
let me help you think this through. So you've got this support through verbal persuasion. And then the fourth component is what's called physiological characteristics. So if I feel really good about myself as I'm trying, I'm more likely to continue to try. If I feel just not good about myself, I feel defeated, then I might have a racing pulse, I may just feel sad. So those physiological components reinforce for me the fact that I'm not likely to be successful. And so I think in wellness, what has happened is so many people have tried so many ways. They go to a gym in January, and all of a sudden it's March and they're not doing it, and they feel really bad about themselves, and they say, there's something wrong with me. I just can't do this. And so I think the idea of self-efficacy is really, really key for us as coaches to help people develop that sense of I am capable. It's not that I'm not good at this, it's that I might have chosen the wrong strategies, and I just need to be skilled up and need an accountability group to help me be successful and be successful sustainably.
So I guess that's one of the major pain points that people have. And are there any other pain points that you come across very often? What are so the major needs that your clients have that you are working and
Oh,
with?
yeah, good question. So yes, that is a major pain point of being frustrated. I just don't know what to do. I don't have the time to figure out what to do. I need to know how to do something because my time is short. So I need to have the right strategies when I need them, and I need for them to be successful. So that is huge. For people to believe that they can be successful is another component of their pain points, is just their self internalization of whether they can be successful. And
Mhm.
then there's the circumstance of what is my context, right? And I think about if I'm trying to say work out, but I'm not near where a gym is, or I'm trying to work out and I don't have a place to run or bike or swim, what can I do about my context? I have to think about who I surround myself with. So these are lots of the pain points that people have is I need to get well. I need to get well more quickly than I have been able to. And I need to be able to have wellness in all facets of my life.
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
Mhm.
So, what are the, let's say, the first steps that someone gets to take um, when they want to get well quickly? Someone who is really busy every day, a busy corporate or an entrepreneur who needs to set priorities. How do I squeeze that in order to be physically um, and mentally fit? How do I start? What is the first, let's say, really 3 steps that I can take to get me into that?
Oh, great question. So step one is to say, what are the goals that I have and why do I have those particular goals? So it's really a bit of introspection to begin with, because as we all know, in corporate busy life, rushing headlong without goals is just not all that productive.
Mhm.
So even though it seems like it's slow down to speed up, in fact, it really is slow down to make more advanced progress faster later. So that I would say is step one. Step two is to say, what is it that I am willing to adapt in my own environment so that I can make time for that? Because none of us sits around saying, oh, I've got 2 extra hours in my day. So we have to begin to make decisions about where can I make some adjustments so that I can prioritize wellness for myself.
Isn't
Mhm.
that there is an aspect of letting go as well, because you have to free yourself in order to change, to make your change,
Mhm.
to let go of certain things that are not helpful, not useful, especially when it comes to healthy eating or fitness. Maybe there's also a mindset or a belief that doesn't help me to move forward, isn't it?
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. And, we have so much time that we spend, as an example, we spend so much time on email, right? Um, Do we really need to spend that much time on email? Are we busy for the sake of being busy? Or are there other strategies for how we can accomplish some of the tasks that we have? Do we need to go to every one of the meetings that we either call or that we are assigned to? Are there other ways to accomplish what we need to accomplish without it taking as much time? So being really strategic about focusing and finding time. And sometimes it is cutting some things out. Like I know for myself, I spend very little time on social media because I don't use it as a mechanism to self soothe or to distract myself. I don't need that. And so sometimes people think there are things that they need that they may be able to buy some time from. If they feel better, they're more likely to be able to um, minimize the distraction kind of time that we all seem to end up having.
Mhm. So it's really also a behavioral change, isn't it?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, it is a behavioral change. And if we go back to the earlier point that you and I were talking about with identity, we
Mhm.
say, what would a healthy person do in this circumstance? What is the behavior that I want to emulate that a healthy person, that myself, as my healthy future self, would be doing? What do I aspire to have my life be like? And do I aspire to have my life be from getting up at 5 in the morning and working until 9 p.m.? That's really not particularly healthy. That's not very sustainable. And as a person who may be in a supervisory role and they have people under them, or somebody who might be a mentor or even a parent with their children, they say, is this really what I want to model for the people who look up to me? And can I adjust so that I'm effective, that I'm efficient, and I'm not busy for the sake of being busy? Where can I make my behavior changes so that I can fit my wellness in? Because it is key. We all know people that are not well, and I would dare say we don't want to end up
Mhm.
ignoring our health and then later wishing we hadn't.
Mhm. And
Mhm.
a third step, we have two now. The third step would be then.
A third step is to take action, right? So we have a goal and we're beginning to think about how can I find time to fit in actions. Now the question is, what actions do I want and need to take? And so it may be that a person decides that they've got a partner that they can go run with, or it may be that they are going to work with somebody who's on the weekend interested in cooking and they can help with meal prep with them, and they can share ideas and get everything ready for them for the week. um, Picking some goals, making some time, and then actually committing. Because as we say, um, if you there is no change without change, right?
Ab- Yeah. Okay. I think that is already great and wonderful advice of how to start and where to start.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for that, Karen. So there's one more question. You have such a varied background, and I most probably, I think that you also had some detours, a lot of learning. Would you like to talk about one major learning you had in your life that was really, really significant, that brought you to that place where you are right now, and that has shaped you and is still shaping you?
Oh, yes, thanks for asking that. So let me combine that with a couple of other ideas. And what I'd say is, in my life's trajectory, I have had sepsis to the point where they thought I had a couple of hours left to live. I have had an unexplained heart attack, which they later said has nothing to do with the way my cholesterol is, the way with my blood flow. There's nothing there. I have had cancer. There have just been, and I had this concussion that we talked about. So I've had numerous health challenges. And so I was there's a couple things about that, and that is my challenges help me learn about myself and how I respond to challenges, but don't define me. That's
Mhm.
just not who I am. They just are part of my identity. And then I think about the fact that as I went into my 40s, I looked around and I saw peers, and some of them were kind of running out of energy. And they began to be talking about, I think my better years were behind me. And then I got into my 50s and I saw people with major ailments. And they were for sure talking about, my better years are in fact beyond me. And so for me, at my age, I was not willing to accept that narrative. At 30s, at 40s, at 50s, the future is bright. I think people should recognize that there's a lot of potential. There's an opportunity to be your best self at whatever age that you are, and not to accept some sort of cultural narrative that we get to a certain age and we're sort of just waiting till the end. That is just dismal. And I don't want that to be what people think about themselves, because everybody has this inherent, incredible amount of personal potential that's just waiting to be tapped, and wellness helps you get there. So I think that that has part of what brought me to where I am now, is to say, even as in 8 weeks, I'll be 65 and I am the strongest version of myself ever. I feel really good. And I'm imagining I got another 30, 40 years at least to go. And I'm excited about it. I'm not sitting thinking I'm waiting for the end. This is absolutely not. So I'm kind of an experiment of one, right? I'm working on myself, but I'm here to say I'm just an average person, right? I'm just this person who is working on taking care of themselves. And people say I inspire them, and that's great, but I'm not really here so much to inspire people as much as I am to say, see, there are options. There are ways in which you can become your healthiest self, if you work on making it a priority, if you have some goals, get an accountability group. Certainly, as I would say, that in our case, if you're interested, contact us. We'll be happy to help you out.
Exactly, yeah. And I think there is so much we can do, and especially our body. I mean, there is a lot of people that have predispositions, but in general, we are in control of it and how we maintain it. And we better take
Right.
that control and use it.
That's right. Bridget, I think I'm looking at you here and I'm saying to myself, you are the only you who has ever been before, and the only you who will ever come later. You are a living, breathing miracle that is on this planet. I happen to have the great opportunity to be here when you're here, but there will never be another you. And so your potential to contribute, your potential to enjoy life, your potential to be in community with others is so key, and it's much better when you're really well. So take care of that body, right? We tell everybody, take care of your body, treat it as though it's the best vehicle that you could possibly ever have, because it's your body, and you were gifted this opportunity to have this spirit, this body, this mind together, and to show up and to be your best self. So yes, absolutely, absolutely right.
Thank you for your inspiring words. Everyone wants to hear that, and everyone who listens to that is leaving with an inspired mind and taking the first three steps to action, right? So before we close, Karen, I would like to do a very quick word wrap with you. Are you ready to give me quick and short answers?
Sure, I hope.
Okay, let's do it. Wellness.
And you would like me to give you a word that pops to my mind?
Exactly.
I would say it's joyful and it's gratifying.
Okay. Mindset.
Is so important. It controls so much of what we think, what we do, and how we feel.
Mhm. Empowerment.
Empowerment is so key to being your best self, because we all have inherent power. We just need to have the opportunity to recognize it for ourselves.
Then unleash it, right?
Unleash it. Yes, that's right.
And last but not least, brands.
Brands are fundamental to one's business, to one's career. And even if you work in a business that's not your own, you are your own personal brand. So you can always show up as your best self.
Exactly. Yeah. It's the human being
Hmm.
behind the big
That's
corporate
right.
brains that make that corporate brain strong. Absolutely.
Right, right. And the last thing I would say is about simple, right? So if you think about these two phrases, right? The Nike phrase, just do it. It's super simple. If you think about Newton when he had his gravitational equation, F equals ma, super simple. And so the last thing I would say about this as it relates to brands and to individuals is it doesn't have to be complicated. It should be elegant. It should be simple. It should be sustainable. It should be achievable. So simplicity and consistency is where it all happens.
Yeah, thank you. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
so here it's more.
Less is so much more.
Reduce
Yes.
to the core strengths, to the core values. By the way, what are your core values?
That's a great question. I have Ryan and I have 10 principles that we use with Tigers Eye Life that we have built from the way in which we live our lives. I'll give you six rather than five.
Yeah.
So number one is to be of service to others. That's a core value of ours. A second is to be intentionally disciplined and to take personal responsibility. A third core value is to honor and to build community. A fourth one is to engage in transformation, to expand ourself and our worldview.
Mhm,
A fifth one is to use evidence for decision making.
mhm.
And then I would say that number six is to just seek out and create joy wherever possible. Life should be joyful. It should be joyful. Even with trials and tribulations, it should be joyful. So those are our core values for sure.
I like that. Use evidence for decision making. To use evidence, but I think there's also this intuition that has to be considered as well. So, kind of a marriage of both of it is the best way of how to move forward.
Oh, yeah, that's right. And so I wouldn't want anyone to be left with the impression that evidence is only numerical. Yeah, it's not just your heart rate, it's not your scale, it's not how many pounds you can lift in a squat rack. It's all of the evidence. How do you feel? What is your heart telling you? What's your intuition? How do you connect with others? All of those are parts of your evidence. So yes, that's exactly right.
Exactly. All right, Karen, where can listeners find you if they want to get in touch with you?
Oh, and they can find us at tigerseye.life. That's our website. You can find us on LinkedIn. You can look for my name, Karen Falkenberg. And you can find us on Instagram. We're not the best yet on Instagram. We're working on that. We're such good coaches and we have done so much great work with people and we're expanding into the online sphere. So our social media is a little bit lacking, but in a couple months it'll be really great. But you can find us there. You can also email us at hello@tigerseye.life. So we'd love to connect with you. We'd love to talk with you about whether you've got some questions or issues or want some ideas about coaching. We could do a discovery call. We'd be happy to talk by email. They can sign up for our newsletter on our website. We have a place where you can download healthy habits for living and get on our weekly email. So lots of places. LinkedIn, we've got a newsletter come out every Monday. So lots of places.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Karen. Thank you for being my guest today on Brand's Talk. It really was a pleasure having you here and learn about how we prioritize our most important career and business assets. And this is our health. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. It's been wonderful to have a conversation with you today.
Thank you, Karen. And thank you all for joining Brand's Talk today. Please give it your social love and leave your comments below. You can also listen to this show as a podcast on your go. Just follow Brandstock on your favorite platform. And if you are interested in learning more about my services, head over to my website, BridgetBrands.com. I hope you will Join me again when we dive into the world of brands, live or by having me in your earbuds, walking the talk. Bye for now. Let's shine. You deserve it.